So,
Yeah, let's fill them in of what's been going on this last week.
let's do that. Um, yeah, I'll be honest. Up front, most of it was there's a lot of Starfield articles this week. It's a big
There
release,
was a
so I understand.
ton.
But yeah, we tried to pick
Crazy.
some out that weren't related. So, found some good ones though. I think. We're starting off with The Verge. You already know Monica Chin read The Verge, and we're gonna be talking about the Legion Go. This is a could you guess another handheld, Mike? Another gaming handheld?
I'm very close to just changing the whole podcast name into the Handheld Reviewer.
I mean, it's just
Like,
it's crazy, man. We've
honestly,
been in like a handheld renaissance this past year, and so now we're just it's like every month or something, right?
we
Um,
covered one like last week too.
yeah, it was
The
it's been
Kickstarter one,
crazy,
crowdfunder
yeah,
one.
yeah. Anyways, with the Legion Go gaming handheld, Lenovo takes aim at the ROG Ally. The 699 gaming handheld has a touchscreen, a touchpad, and detachable controllers. And a little switch here, Mike. Is that what we're looking at?
It's kind of sick.
Hey, it looks pretty cool. They have a kind of picture at the as the main kind of hero graphic picture at the front of the page. But every company and its mother seems to be putting out handheld gaming PCs these days, and Lenovo is next to the plate. The company has announced the Legion Go, its first Windows-powered gaming handheld, which will be available for purchase in October. It's got an 8.8-inch QHD Plus screen, an AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor, and a 49.2 watt hour battery, which is bigger than those of the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck. And his controllers pop off, which is pretty neat. It's a Switch. So,
Yeah, basically, it sounds like a beefy Switch.
sounds like it. While Valve's Steam Deck tends to be the first product that comes to mind when this category is discussed, the Legion Go seems more like a cross between a Switch and an Asus ROG Ally. For one, with models starting at $699, the Ally is clearly what Lenovo is trying to match on price. But it also, like the Ally, is running old school Windows and has more controls, a touchpad primarily, that are tailored towards an operating that system. There's a little kind of there's some pictures as well that were taken, kind of showing off some of the kind of how it looks from different views, kind of the side view of how the controller ports kind of look, as well as just some of the controller stuff itself and the touch screen, the little trackpad that they have on it, which I feel like because the Steam Deck has something similar, right? I think it's like the little kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken, they have kind of like a touch screen or a touchpad kind of thing.
Yeah, they have this like little. It's kind of like an old school mouse pad that you would have on a
Yeah,
laptop.
right, yeah. With controllers attached, the Legion Go is about half a pound heavier than the ROG Ally and a bit heavier than the Steam Deck. It is noticeably different when you pick the device up. It feels heavier. That didn't particularly impact my gaming experience, and of course, Monica Chin was the one writing this. Didn't impact their gaming experience since they largely were using the device with a kickstand propping it up. Nevertheless, Monica knows this is something some potential customers will be unhappy about, particularly those who are buying a handheld for frequent travel. The case definitely feels bulkier than the other one. Monica was carrying her Switch around in, so it's noticeably heavier in that regard. The presumable upside of this extra bulk is battery life. Asus was very focused on keeping the Ally's size and weight down, and it has a smaller battery than the Go does as a result. They can imagine that plenty of people might find sacrificing some portability for extra longevity to be a very reasonable trade, especially given how unhappy many reviewers have been with the Ally's battery life. Unfortunately, Lenovo's representatives wouldn't give us a battery life estimate at the demo event, claiming they hadn't had enough time to test for it, but assured The Verge that they would have one prior to the October launch. So, kind of the standard kind of PR response, probably. Um, in terms of other specs, the screen has a 2560 by 1600 resolution and a 144 hertz refresh rate. Inside, you get 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM. I love how long that is. Like
It's the most
LPDDR5.
engineer crap ever, dude.
And you also get up to 1 terabyte of storage. Ports include a 3.5 millimeter audio combo jack, a USB Type C, a USB 4.0 display port 1.4, power delivery 3.0, and a micro SD reader, as well as an additional USB Type C, same specs as before on the bottom. It's a lot of little some IO here, Mike.
There's
That's
some
some
serious stuff right there. That's awesome.
that's a nice little IO here. The Verge, for one, was able to try a few games that were loaded on Power Wash Simulator, Quake 2, Evil West, and A Short Hike were among the selection of titles. They were running a 15 watt. They were running at 15 watts by default, which Verge was told was probably how the device will ship. Lenovo stressed in the demo that the Legion will be playing with the Legion they were playing with was not in its final form, and that a bunch of things, particularly Lenovo's launcher, which didn't really work during the demo, and its in-game display, and its in-game overlay, which is not operational yet, would be buttoned up before release. Which is, very if they're saying October, that's like a month away. So need some quick turnaround times there. It seems like the controls were all responsive throughout the various titles that were demoed, and gameplay itself was smooth without hangups or excessive fan noise. The Verge did run into one big snag, however. Many of the games they tried didn't seem to know that they were running on a handheld at multiple points in multiple games. The Verge was told press escape, which is a key in the Legion Go. The Legion Go does not have. A Lenovo representative, after some tinkering, determined that they needed to press the B button in order to actually escape that. One game kept telling them to press B0. I assume this is some kind of joystick key. However, they eventually figured out it was A on the Legion Go. This happened both when the controllers were attached and when they were in joystick mode. It seems like there's some mapping discrepancies in some of those games.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a demo.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect it to really be optimized just yet, you know?
Yeah, it's true. And I know it's like coming up soon, so it's one
Mhm.
of those things like hopefully, I mean, with like a month of QA, they can kind of get that figured out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Because our article goes off for a little bit, but it kind of shows off some more photos, kind of showing off the controls as they're attached, how they look separated in joystick mode. You can kind of see that. Yeah, I get very reminiscent to a Switch. Control, I think. Ultimately, though, I think what makes this Switch interesting and kind of what sets it apart is each controller can kind of operate on its own, right? Because it's like symmetrical,
Yeah.
so like you can use either one, kind of like that. I definitely don't see that on this. And again, obviously, it's like they're it's trying to operate as a PC first and foremost, really. So obviously, it's not like a huge concern or priority, but that is like something I noticed kind of right off the bat, that the controllers aren't symmetrical, so you can't really like play like party games. But then again, you can't really play Nintendo games on PC, so I guess it's not
That's
a
what I was gonna
yeah,
say.
not a
It's
huge issue,
like
right?
Nintendo kind of has that market for
Yeah,
like the console handheld hybrid, where you can basically just, oh, you want to play? Here's a toggle for like the joystick or the Joy-Con, and then
yeah,
that adds a player, and like those are the only buttons that you really need, which is what makes the Nintendo Switch just brilliant.
yeah,
You're,
yeah.
you're
It's
not
very
going to
true.
get that with these types of handhelds that are like for PC games.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, a big thing of note too in the article is that there's no desktop mode for the controls, kind of like the Ally has. Um, and it seems like the Verge was kind of saying, from kind of what they gather and what they're expecting is that if you were to navigate Windows, like the Windows interface on this device, kind of expected you to use either the touchpad on it or the touch screen itself. And it seems like they didn't have a problem doing that during the demo. But it did feel like a bit of a waste to be navigating on a kind of a tiny little trackpad when there's like a perfectly functional joystick available. That's very interesting, and I don't know. Hopefully, they'll kind of have the joysticks operational with the operating system. So if you wanted to do other things, you certainly could. I would almost feel like kind of the left joystick would be your left click, right? Just kind of click it in, then you're right. Yeah, and that intuitively, at
Yeah.
least to mine, that's kind of that'd probably be ideal. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The article certainly goes on about the device a little bit more in depth. But I mean, I think ultimately, Mike, I mean, what do you think about this? Another handheld, detachable joysticks, I guess is what they're kind of calling it. I don't know. Do you think this has a place in the handheld PC market?
I think it's late to the game, but I think it should have a place. So who's really the competition, right? I wouldn't include Nintendo Switch because I think they're gonna always have that lion's share of the handheld market. But outside that, you got the Steam Deck, right? You have the ROG Ally, which is made by Logitech. Is that correct?
I think it's Jesus. Jesus has the ROG
Asus,
brand.
but Logitech also has one.
Yeah, G Cloud.
That's
So,
it, the G Cloud. And now we have Lenovo. I think out of all those brands, I think Steam Deck should be number one because that's made by Valve with
yeah,
Steam, and they have that entire library. So that like convenience of having your own library on your device is awesome. But you can still get that really with just downloading Steam onto any of these devices. So kind of null and void, but having the name helps. Which
yeah,
is what I'm leading into is like Lenovo as a brand and manufacturer of laptops is pretty top tier for businesses, like very trustworthy and
yeah,
dependable. So I think this could be going down that route as well.
yeah. I mean, you just think about the ThinkPad, Mike. You know, those Lenovo ThinkPads. A lot of companies are like they'll just buy those in
Every
bulk, and it's like you just have
yeah.
those laptops. Like, yeah, it's a huge market.
Yeah, and I also think these like the one thing to mention that might be the standalone thing is the IO ports you were talking about.
Yeah.
You got 3.5 millimeter audio combo jack. Pretty sick. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
those are really
Yeah.
underrated now. USB Type C, that should be a guarantee. But then the USB 4.0 and DisplayPort 1.4 is pretty wild
Yeah.
to have both of those. And then a Microsoft or not Microsoft, the micro SD reader. That's also underrated, man. Expandable storage stuff, like kind of stuff. It's
I mean,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
it's I mean that's what's cool about this. I think having the ability to kind of use that display port. I mean, the idea is kind of like docking, right? Like you're docking your
Yeah,
Switch kind of thing.
exactly.
It's a similar
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Lenovo is goaded with docking.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely goaded. They're so good.
Yeah.
S-
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think ultimately, like the peak of this is going to be like, can you fit a gaming PC in this little device, and then can I use this like on? Can I hook it up to a monitor, right? And then I'm like gaming on a regular PC.
Oh yeah.
That's like the ultimate. I think that's where kind of the pinnacle of this is going to be. Like the apex is when you can like do when it's so
Oh yeah.
seamless, you can just like use it as a desktop almost, right? Or like a gaming laptop.
Yeah.
And it's just in this tiny form factor, and you can take it with you, and you don't have to. I mean, because that's the biggest thing about like if you're
Yeah.
working for a company, right? Like obviously they're going to give you a laptop primarily because like oh you can take it home or you can bring it in like that kind of thing. You
Yeah.
can work from wherever, right? That's I mean again different kind of area, but the same kind of thing goes here. You could game wherever. I think is the idea. That's the ultimate goal. I think with these.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely imagine a world where we have something like this like this system similar to how like the Nintendo Switch is, where you just drop it in to this slot, it docks itself. But their dock is like wired controllers and a HDMI and power port to charge and stuff. But like the HDMI goes to your TV. It's only a
Yeah,
matter of time until we have a docking system strictly for gaming,
yeah,
and that's when it's gonna be goated. Have like your mouse and keyboard always plugged in on your desktop, no giant tower,
yeah,
and you just come in, drop your like $700 little like thing, whatever.
yeah.
What if you have expandable storage, like USB plugged into it, like
Hmm,
an SSD plugged
yeah,
into
yeah,
3.0 or 4.0 USB
yeah,
port in the dock and automatically syncs? That'd be sick.
yeah. It's we always talk about like kind of the new like CPUs, GPUs, and whatnot. It'd
Yeah.
be sick to eventually get to a point where it's like the tech got so small and like thermodynamics and everything got figured out to a point where you could have a device like this that is better than your desktop computer. You know, like that's I feel like that'd be like the idea, like the ideal for like a handheld like this. Um, and this and you know being it's probably optimistic, but I feel like this could be kind of the start of that. Like this is the early kind of prototypes of what will eventually become something like that where it's just kind of the all-in-one, take it wherever, it's your PC kind of thing, right? You can hook it up to monitors, turn it into a desktop. I think that's where I'd love to see
Yeah.
this, one day.
I think we're definitely headed that direction. That just seems to be the natural progression of where we're headed. I mean, just the last what year and a half to 2 years, we keep seeing more and more games being able to play on these small little devices,
Yeah.
handheld. Like the games are becoming more optimized for that.
Oh yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
only a matter of time, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I kind of love how it's being like the smaller form factors being adopted more, like the handheld market's back, kind of thing. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's like it seemed like it almost died off for a while because it was kind of proprietary hardware and proprietary games for that device. But now it's just like we're at a point where we could just like stick a PC in one of these, right? And all of a sudden we have
100%. Yeah.
have this form factor. So it's
Yeah, but this is
it's pretty
still in
sick.
beta. We have plenty more time until this comes out, and I can't wait to see the side by side comparison off of like all 3 or 4 different iterations of these style handhelds.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like I'm curious to see kind of whenever the dust settles on this like kind of handheld revolution, who's going to kind of maintain, who's going to be on top, kind of thing. So and yeah,
Yeah,
I mean Lenovo joining it. I mean, yeah, Lenovo's a big
I
brand,
think
so
yeah, they're no joke.
yeah,
So it's pretty cool
so
to see.
yeah, I think it'll be good. We'll see. We'll certainly see. You know what? Also, we're gonna see, Mike.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about esports. When was the last
Esports.
time we really talked about esports? It's been a while, I
It's been a
think.
while. This is a good like the
Yeah,
first esports article in a minute.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's about a league that I don't really cover that much.
Yeah,
So,
same.
but we're gonna learn